we have to do something special for you.
Hey guys, it's Shelfy. Welcome to my kitchen. It's been a while. Where you been? That's for me to know and for you to not find out. Anyway, welcome back to the Krafty Koopa. Today I will be showing you how to make this switch cake with a little Cat Mario on top. So if you've seen my other episode of Switch Cake, you might know, I'm not sure how well I was hiding my disappointment on camera, that I don't quite like the way that old one turned out. So to celebrate Krafty Koopa coming back, the Switch's 4-year anniversary, and Super Mario 35 years, this is our project for today. And quite a project it has been. Anyways, let's get started with what you will need.
The first thing you'll need is your cake mix of choice and all that requires, or you can use your own cake recipe if you have one. Next, here I have some tools for assembling my cake. You can see I've chosen my glass mixing bowl, my mixing cup, and my spatula with burn marks on it. Here I have my aluminum baking sheet and some pan baking spray. I chose 13 by 9 for my pan. The reason I chose 13 by 9 for my pan is so that the switch fits exactly into the pan like this. This will help with shaping our cake later on.
Hey there friends, you're also going to need some parchment paper for this project. Believe me, okay? Let's just say there was an incident.
You'll also need a cake leveler, and this will just help us level off flat the top of our cakes. Here I have various decorating icings and tools. I have black, red, pink, yellow, blue, and white. Then this Pillsbury Creamy Vanilla is going to be my base icing. I have a sculpting tool right here, and these little tips that attach right onto the bottles of Cake Craft icing, as you see demonstrated here. And finally, you will need some cake boards to put your cake on. First, before I do anything, I am taking a Sharpie marker and marking approximately where my switch lines up with my pan. This will help me so that when I take my cake out, I can place the pan next to it and cut 2 easy pieces of cake that will become the base switch. First things first, it's time to mix our cake mix, prepare our pan, and bake our cake. I'm not showing it here, but I doubled my cake box recipe because for some reason, whenever I baked one box, it baked extremely unevenly and broke apart when I tried to remove it from the pan. Mixing 2 boxes and everything it required also ensured I had enough cake to sculpt Cat Mario. Before you pour your cake batter into your pan like this, make sure you spray it well with baking spray and line it with parchment paper. Here's where I realized I should have been preheating my oven. And here's me jamming out to that sick future funk, baby. Finally, pop that cake in the oven for the appropriate amount of time. You'll know when your cake is done when you can poke a toothpick all the way into it and it comes out clean. Here you can see I've lifted my creation out of the pan and let it cool completely. To level the cake using the leveler, all you have to do is slowly wiggle it through the cake. The best way I can describe it is that it's kind of like a saw. Kind of. Then I lifted the top of the cake and set it in my mixing bowl for later. I've got my pen with Sharpie marks on it and placed it next to my cake. I'm using my big knife to cut where I marked off the switch size. Once the pieces were cut, I used my base frosting to adhere the cake to the board, and then another layer on top of that cake to adhere the second layer of cake. Next, it's time for shaping and crumb coating. I rounded off the edges of the cake ever so slightly and then applied my base frosting all over the cake. A crumb coat will help the decorative icing stick in place better and make the cake sturdier in general, and this cake especially needed that. The cake was very fluffy and fragile at this stage, so I just worked slowly and moved my spatula in ways that wouldn't completely tear up the cake. After I was done, I put the cake in the fridge for about 30 minutes. While the cake was in the fridge, it was time to make cake pops so that I could sculpt Cat Mario. I started by crumbling the top of the cake into crumbs. A good way to do this is to rub the pieces of cake together. Then I added my base frosting to the crumbs. Generally, the rule for cake pops is 1 tub of frosting to 1 box cake. I estimated about 1/3 of the container would work and sculpted that as much as it would make into 3 balls that I could use to create Cat Mario later. Then I set these in the fridge to harden. Finally, it is time to decorate. For the Switch, I worked in sections starting with the Joy-Cons, then a white section in the center for Cat Mario to sit on, and finally the black part around the screen and on the side and on the buttons. You can see that I used my flat top decorating tip to make strips of the sections and then used a tiny baby dessert knife to smooth it all out. You can somewhat see at the end of the black section that I was running out of frosting. If you wanted to make your Switch cake more than 2 layers high, I would definitely recommend buying another tube. For the smaller buttons, I just did a little bit of shaping with a toothpick.
Dear Mario, please come to the castle. I have baked a cake for you. Yours truly, Princess Toadstool. Peach. We have to do something special for you.
Now for sculpting Cat Mario. When sculpting Cat Mario, I definitely tried to keep my shapes very simple and rather big. He's kind of chunky sitting there, but the cake balls really weren't that solid unless they're dipped in chocolate, so I just did my best. I used more base frosting to glue his head on and the small earpieces. Once I was done shaping Cat Mario, I put him in the freezer for about 10 minutes to make sure that he didn't completely fall apart when decorating. Finally, it's time to decorate Cat Mario. When decorating Cat Mario, I started off by mixing some base frosting with a little pink and yellow for a semi-skin tone, and applied it with my tiny baby knife. Then I used my round tip to do pink in the ears, and my flower tip for the white and yellow fuzzy effect. Finally, for the face details, I used a very small amount of frosting and a toothpick to shape, which took me quite a bit of time, so it is very simplified in this footage. I also decided to go back and add the orange visor part on the cat suit as well. And Viola, we are done. Here's the finished cake.
How are the stars as we stormed to the castle? And it's all thanks to you. Thank you, Mario. We have to do something special for you. Listen, everybody. Let's make a delicious cake for Mario.
Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Krafty Koopa. If you very much liked it, please leave a comment, like, and maybe subscribe to this new channel. If you'd also like to, it would really help me out. You could share the video on Twitter. Anyways, if you guys make this craft, let me know. Send me a cute picture, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!
Dear Mario,
Come on, bone saw. There we go. Oh, now it's working.